Well, Mac Jones wears the number 10. I've already got a Jags jersey with 10 on it, this being the legend Josh Scobie, played over a decade in Jacksonville, so I might as well make the most of it. Welcome everybody to JJ9 News, where we talk all things NFL all the time. I'm Jared and I representing the 904 from the 602, and today we're talking about Mac Jones going to the Jacksonville Jaguars. I did a video yesterday on the Mac Jones trade. I hate it. Go check it out if you haven't already. But I basically break down why I think this trade is terrible. I think that CJ Beathard showed you something as a backup quarterback more so than Mac Jones. Jones is only a one-year rental. Trading a sixth-round pick when you could have used that pick as ammunition to potentially trade up in the draft is a bad move, and Mac Jones has regressed every single year. So I'm not crazy about the trade. I think it's a bad move by Baalke. Having said that, this video is me coping. This video is me trying to justify the trade and why it might not be so bad. Again, I don't agree with this. But I figure I might as well give it a shot and at least present some arguments as to why this might not be the worst thing in the world. Even though personally, you're not going to change my opinion on it, but maybe someone else might be able to change theirs. I don't know. We'll see. Number one, Mac Jones probably needs a change of scenery. He was not helped a lot in New England. I will say that. Mac Jones, for as bad as he was in New England, was not the only reason the Pats offense was awful and was the only reason they were bad. Matt Patricia, as his offensive coordinator in 2022, really stunted his development because he did have a solid rookie season. We saw that in that game against Jacksonville, that 50-10 win. He threw for 3 touchdown passes, no picks, passer rating of, I believe, over 120. He played very well in that game, in that blowout. Granted, the Jaguars were awful that year. Interim head coach in Bevel, they had nothing to play for. It was a disaster. Maybe the worst game I've seen the Jaguars play, but Mac Jones played well in that one. And ever since 2021, he's regressed. Patricia definitely stunted his development, and he had no help at wide receiver. He's only had one wideout in the last 2 seasons with over 600 yards receiving, and that was Jacoby Myers in 2022. And he wasn't even on the Pats in 2023. He was on the Las Vegas Raiders. You might be able to make the argument that Myers was on the Raiders in 2022 as well, based on what happened in the end of that Pats-Raiders game. Now, the Jags receiving corps, by default, better than the Pats receiving corps. Christian Kirk, I really like him a lot. If you bring back Calvin Ridley, that's huge. Jags are probably going to draft a receiver in the first 2 rounds if they can't bring Ridley back. And the big one, Evan Ingram, big security blanket. That's a huge help. I think Ingram is one of the best tight ends in football. He set the Jaguars record last season with most receptions. He has been a menace the past 2 seasons, one of the best tight ends in Jags history already. So you have weapons to work with. You didn't have that in New England. You have weapons to work with in Jacksonville to some extent. On top of that, we've seen what a good coaching staff can do, because just like the inverse of Matt Patricia, we saw what happened with Trevor Lawrence. He had no help coaching staff-wise his first season. Urban Meyer was a train wreck. We all know that. Meyer was a disaster. His heart wasn't there. He was doing things that no head coach should do. He didn't know the names of the players on the team. He refused to play James Robinson. Trevor Lawrence had to go into Urban Meyer's office and tell him to play James Robinson more. Lawrence was not good his first season with an awful coach, but you brought on Doug Peterson, who knows quarterbacks. He was a quarterback in the NFL, and he improved a lot to the point where he's a franchise guy. Nick Foles, his good seasons have mostly been with Peterson. 2012, as a rookie, he was solid when Peterson was his QB's coach. 2017 and 2018 in Philly, obviously Foles played well, won the Super Bowl. Carson Wentz was developing really nicely, was probably going to win the MVP in 2017 before he got injured in that game against the Los Angeles Rams. So Peterson can do some work with quarterbacks. Maybe all Mac Jones needs is a change of scenery, because Jones grew up in Jacksonville. He might be a lot more comfortable there, especially because of the difference in the fan base and the media market between Jacksonville and Boston. Boston, you got to replace Tom Brady. Yes, I know Cam Newton was the bridge quarterback, but for all intents and purposes, Mac Jones was replacing Tom Brady. A lot less pressure in your hometown in Jacksonville where you could be the backup. You'd be a bit more loose. You can be a bit more loose, and the media doesn't hate you like they did in Boston. So maybe that will help. The other thing that I want to talk about is Trent Baalke in particular, as the general manager of the Jaguars. He is god-awful at drafting. 6th-round pick is what the Jags gave up for him. And again, I don't agree with the trade. I think giving up a 6th-round pick, especially when you were the only team to put in an offer, the only team interested, why give a 6th and not a 7th? I don't know. why you're just giving out 6th-round picks willy-nilly when you can use that as ammunition and when you can draft talent in the 6th round, I don't know. But you look at Baalke's history in the 6th round, it's not pretty. He made 10 picks in the 6th round with the San Francisco 49ers. You want to know how many of those picks lasted more than one season with the team? 1. That's it. 1 6th-round pick that Baalke made in San Francisco lasted more than one season with the team. None of them lasted more than 2 seasons with the team. Going to go down the list one by one. 2011 drafted wide receiver Ronald Johnson. Played 0 games in the NFL. Then he drafted defensive back Colin Jones. 6 tackles, no starts with the Niners, lasted 1 season, made it on the Carolina Panthers in 2012, actually played with the team until 2019, but for all intents and purposes with the 49ers, 1 season there. 2012 drafted defensive back Trent Robinson in the 6th round. He played 3 games, no starts with San Francisco, no tackles, lasted 1 season with the team. He also drafted offensive lineman Jason Slowey. He played no games in the NFL. 2013, linebacker Nick Moody. He played 2 seasons in San Francisco, 25 tackles, no sacks, no picks, 1 tackle for a loss. That was his only thing of note. 2 seasons with the Niners. That's it. 2014, defensive back Kenneth Acker. 1 season with the team. Had 3 picks, started a lot of games that season, but only lasted with the team for 1 season before he got traded to the Kansas City Chiefs. 2015, offensive lineman Ian Silberman. Played 1 game with the 49ers. Played 2 games in the NFL. That's it. 2016, he had 3 picks in the 6th round. He drafted Jeff Driscoll, who obviously is still in the NFL, but in terms of his time with the 49ers, played 0 games with San Fran. So waste of a draft pick with the Niners. Drafted running back Kelvin Taylor, the son of Jaguars legend and should-be Hall of Famer Fred Taylor, one of the greatest players, maybe the greatest player in franchise history. Played 0 games in the NFL. The Florida man, 0 games in the NFL. And drafted wide receiver Aaron Burbridge. 7 catches, 88 yards, no touchdowns, lasted 1 season in the NFL. Those were Baalke's 10 6th-round picks in San Francisco. Just looking down the list, I gotta say Mac Jones probably by default will be better than all of them. Or at least most of them. Then you look at his time with the Jaguars. 5 draft picks in the 6th round in Jacksonville. 2021, wide receiver Jalen Camp. Played 0 games with the team. He has not been in the NFL since 2022. Had some time with the Texans and the Panthers. Didn't do anything of note there. 2022, drafted quarterback Gregory Jr. 1 pass breakup in 2 years. Hasn't done a lot. We'll see if he's even on the roster going into the 2024 season. 2023, had 3 picks in the 6th round. Defensive back Christian Braswell. Played 3 games this past season. No stats, no tackles, no picks, no pass breakups, no nothing. Drafted defensive back Eric Hallett, who didn't even make the team. I was a bit surprised that Hallett didn't make the team. I thought he had a very good preseason, but he didn't make the team. And he drafted Penn State wideout Parker Washington. The one good pick Baalke has made, on paper it seems like, in the 6th round. Parker Washington really came on at the end of the season once Christian Kirk went down, had a great touchdown catch against the Bengals, had another good touchdown catch against the Browns, had 16 catches in the 2023 season. Again, only played as of late. Had some decent numbers as a punt returner and a kick returner. Still like Agnew a bit more at that punt returner, kick return position, but Parker Washington looks like a solid player. Looks like he's going to get some reps in 2024. Looks like he's going to be a building block on this team and in this offense for hopefully years to come. So 15 6th-round picks that Baalke has made between his time with the Niners and the Jaguars. And he's only hit on Parker Washington. His best pick in the 6th round in 15 tries is Parker Washington. A man who, as much as I like him, at the end of the day, his rookie season had under 200 yards receiving and had 2 touchdowns. It's like if I'm up to bat in a baseball game and they have me lay down a bunt. Now, why I'm in the game, I have no clue. You can question the manager as to why I'm in the game. Why is that the strategy? But if I'm in the game, it's statistically the best play to have me bunt based on the fact that I'm in there, because I'm going to strike out. If I make contact at all, it's not going to be pretty. I might as well just lay down but advance the runner over the second base. Trent Baalke's the GM. I hate it. He should not be the GM. But if Trent Baalke is the GM, Mac Jones has a better chance of producing than any of Baalke's 6th-round picks just going off of history. Again, I hate that argument. I hate the argument that Trent Baalke is so bad at drafting that you might as well trade the draft pick and get someone. I think that's a terrible argument. It's like your job as a GM is to draft well. You're not drafting well. Why are you a GM at that point? But if Baalke's the GM, if this is what we have to work with, Mac Jones probably has a better chance of producing in 1 year as the backup and making an impact than any other 6th-round pick that he might end up choosing. Again, you could use that pick as ammunition. You could draft someone good with that pick. It's why I don't like that argument. But based on Baalke's history, I at least understand that if you want to take that route. Since he is the GM, and we have to live with it, unfortunately, because that is the life as a Jaguars fan. Plus, I guess if Mac Jones does do well and Trent Baalke... Plus, I guess if Mac Jones does do well and Doug Peterson does develop him, Mac Jones looks good in the preseason, maybe you could trade him, make it like a Teddy Bridgewater move, where, remember Teddy Bridgewater was on the Jets for a bit, and then they traded him to the New Orleans Saints because of a good preseason. Maybe Mac Jones plays well. You can keep CJ Beathard as your 2, trade Mac Jones, maybe get 7 in return. You could do that. You might get a compensatory pick in 2026 because you let him go as a free agent in 2025. Maybe. I don't know. I don't think it's very likely. I don't think that's the strategy. And again, I don't agree with this trade at all, but this is me just trying to cope with the trade and being like, you know what? Mac Jones is a Jaguar. Trent Baalke is our GM. I've got to live with both those things. So I might as well make lemonade out of lemons, as hard as it is going to be. But what are your thoughts on the Mac Jones trade? Again, I don't like it. This is just me coping with the trade, giving reasons why it might not be the worst thing in the world. I don't agree with them whatsoever. I don't agree with the logic employed by the front office. But what are your thoughts on the Mac Jones trade? Do you think he's going to be a good player in Jacksonville? Do you think he needs a change of scenery? Do you think he's a lost cause? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. That's going to do it for this episode of JG9 News. Be sure you like and subscribe. It helps the channel out a lot. And be sure to check my main channel, Jaguars9, where we talk all things NFL history all the time. Until next time, this is Jaguars9 signing off. And as always, go Jags.